What's up guys, my name is Trey Dolphin and today I'm going to make a video that's a little bit different from what I've normally done, but that's good. I've been smoking for about 2 to 3.5 years and it affected my memory so much that I can't even remember exactly how long I've smoked, so I just have to give an estimate. I wouldn't say it got real serious until about a year ago when I won this poker tournament. I won about $27,000 in a poker tournament, 450 players. I came in first, and when I won, I just remember feeling like nothing. I remember feeling empty, and the reasoning for that was because about like 3 to 4 weeks before, my grandmother had passed away, and you know, I'm not an emotional type of person, but she was an important part of my life. I remember I would always talk to her and always had someone to go to, and she seemed to always understand what I needed to talk about. And I just remember being in this tournament, winning all this money, and just feeling absolutely nothing, feeling no emotions at all. And it wasn't until about a week or 2 weeks later after I won that money when I smoked for the first time in a while. And when I smoked, I remember feeling actual emotion. I remember feeling like happy, and that's when I think it really started. And that's not good, because the only time I was happy or feeling any type of emotion was when I was smoking. And so I would smoke to feel, I would smoke to eat, I would smoke to do whatever I needed to do. Instantly after this time of smoking, I began smoking anywhere from 2 to 5 times a day. It went from anywhere from 1 to 5 times a week to now like 2 to 5 times a day, or 1 to 3 times a day, somewhere in there. And that's a big jump. It doesn't feel like a big jump when you're in it or when you're doing it, but when you're like on the outside looking in, that's a huge jump. Now, side note, before this whole situation happened, before I started smoking seriously, I went on about a 2-week period of playing professional poker where I won about $51,000. And if you go back and watch some of my old videos, you can see me start to win some of the money before it started getting serious. I actually stopped posting videos right as my grandmother passed away, because I guess I just lost my drive to post any type of videos. That being said, once weed came along and once I started smoking a lot more, I instantly lost all drive and any reason to want to make YouTube videos or do anything extra great with my life. And directly after that, I took $20,000 and I blew it. I went on trips, I played poker stupidly, recklessly. I had a plan and a set design thing for how I wanted to play and how I wanted to spend my money and what I wanted to do. And I was doing it perfectly and smart. And the second I started smoking a lot, that whole plan was just gone. I had no plan. It was just go, 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 spend money here, blow money here. And I was never like that. I never enjoyed spending money. I was always about saving it. I thought spending money on trips and other like materialistic type things was what was gonna make me happy. It didn't. So when I spent that $20,000, I blew it, not just spent it. I took the rest of the money, I put it up into investments, and that's when I got a job, which, if you know me, I'm not a job person. I hate corporate jobs, and that's exactly where I went. And guess what? Because I hated it so much, what do you think I did? I started smoking even more. And at this point, realistically, I was smoking anywhere from 4 to 15 times a day, which is a huge jump. But because I hated where my life was, because I don't know, maybe was trying to run from reality or whatever reasoning it was, I was smoking all the time. And that job on top of all this made it even worse. It made me want to smoke even more because I hated that job. I hated corporations. I hated having to do a job like that, having to give in to society like that. This continued for almost about a year, all the way until September of 2018, when I finally realized something was not right. Something needed to change, and my brain and my mind and my mindset was so clouded from the weed that I literally did not realize what I was doing. And it wasn't until this moment, like literally 9 or 10 months later, that I realized something wasn't right and something needed to change. At this point, I still lived at home with my mother at the age of 23, and everything stayed the same until my friend Sammy came along, and he said something to me that stuck to me until this day. And it definitely was one of the things that changed my direction in life. And it was when he said, if you don't move out, you're never gonna have anything that's forcing you or pushing you to get to where you want. And that really just stuck with me. I was like, you know what, he's right. I need to move out. I need to stop being comfortable, because at this point I lived with my mother, and my mother's the sweetest woman in the world, and she would do anything for me. So I could take advantage of that if I wanted to. I could sit around and do absolutely nothing, and that would work. I wouldn't need to do a job if I didn't want to. I needed something that was gonna push me. Then November of 2018 hit, and that was when I realized that was it. I decided it's time to move out, it's time to make changes. So I told myself I had until December 31st to continue smoking, and then I would not smoke anymore. I would at least go 21 days just to see what type of changes I can make in my life. So I did. I made plans to move out. I set it all up, and I bought what I needed to buy to set me up through the rest of the year. I moved out in early December, and I tried to stop here or there, and I would go a few days here or there without smoking, but ultimately I just decided to go through the rest of the year, and I smoked all the way until December 31st, a lot less than I was in the past, but I was still smoking a considerable amount. And then finally January 1st came. This is what I learned from quitting cannabis for 21 days after being a normal user for a very long time. Disclaimer: before I start this whole process of telling you what happened through this period of time, something is very important. This is the most important part of the video that I must express. I am not here to tell you you should not smoke. I'm not here to tell you you should smoke. I'm not here to say listen to me and follow what I'm doing because it's going to help you out in life. That is not what this video is for. This video is solely to show you the data that I figured out mentally and physically throughout my body and mind throughout this process of giving it up for 21 days. Anyways, here it goes. Now, on days 1 through 3, something to be noted is anybody can go 1 to 3 days without smoking. It's around that 3 to 4 day mark where it starts getting difficult. And I remember around the 4 to 7 day mark, it was definitely difficult, especially because I'm surrounded by friends and family who smoke it on the regular, and I'm surrounded by it all the time. And I remember this being a pretty difficult process between the 4 to 7 day mark, but I got through it. Anybody can really do the first week, because you can find a reason in your head for the first week just to lie to yourself and say, you can go an extra day, you can do this, you can do that. Something to note that I realized, or something that I realized around day 16, was that it really was about the fact of when I moved out on my own and just having some reason to have the motivation and go. And I'm not saying this will work for you or for anybody else, because everybody's different, but for me personally, being out on my own and having the choice to make whatever decision I need to for myself, that's really what pushed me. It was just like, do I really want to be in the same situation for the rest of my life? And I kept telling myself, no, just keep pushing through. You can do this. Like, you don't want to continue to make the same decisions every day and, hate your life because of it. And maybe only I hate my life because of it. It doesn't mean that somebody else could definitely do this their entire life and it could not affect them. But I know that there is a lot of people like me who this is the way it is. Probably the most important thing I learned, which was still on day 16, was that being around it helps you get over it faster. Because if you are not around it, well, let's say you go 25, 50, 60 days without being around it. Well, that first time you're around it, when you haven't been around it for a while, well, guess what? You don't know how to say no. You don't know how to have that self-control because you haven't had that self-control. And it's better to be around it and force yourself to be around it for like 2 weeks straight, because then you force yourself to say no for 2 weeks straight. And if you can say no for that long of a period, then you learn that trait. You learn to be able to say no instead of going that long period of just not being around anybody who smokes it. And for the first time you're around for somebody who smokes it and they're like, hey, you want to hit this? You're just like, yeah, because you don't know how to say no. You never taught yourself how to say no. Learn how to gain control over it. And once you have control over it, then choose if you want to smoke. Choose if you want to smoke because of it, to use it as a tool, or choose if you want to smoke to, just to have fun every once in a while. But I think it was so important to just go a certain amount of days in a row without smoking, because it taught me to have that control over it, to be able to say no. And when you can say no, it's no longer having that control over you. You now control it, and now you can use it as a tool, or you can use it to have fun every once in a while, instead of just always being like, I need to get that next blunt, I need to get that next high. You're no longer chasing a high, you're just enjoying that high whenever you have it randomly. Now, here's the sad part of the video. On day 20, I caved in. I woke up very sick, woke up feeling like trash, and my entire logical process of thinking was completely gone. The only thing I could think about was smoking. It was a Sunday, and we were all chilling, just watching football, and I felt so bad that my brain was so emotional about getting to smoke some weed somehow, because I felt so bad. My entire logical process was gone, and my brain was not thinking anymore. It was literally just, I need to get to smoke. I need to go smoke. And I did. Now, this was crazy to me, because it just proved to me that, like, no matter how much control you think you have over something, you still might not have that control over it. You never know until you're put into certain scenarios. And it wasn't until I was put into that scenario that I learned that I needed to control it even more. I need to figure out a way to control it even when I'm weak, not just when I'm strong. Here's something even crazier. We come to day 21. I woke up feeling worse than I did the day before, and I truly don't think I was ever sick. I hadn't been sick in over a year, and I truly think it was my body's way of saying I haven't had it in a while and I need it. And it somehow just outsmarted me. It's outsorted my brain. And I skipped the next day of work. I didn't go into work because I felt that bad. And I don't think I felt bad because I was sick. I think I felt bad because I smoked. I was like, my nose was running, my entire body was achy. I had no motivation to do anything. I think I slept until like 2 or 3 p.m. this day, and I did absolutely nothing the whole day. Day 22 came, everything was back to normal. At this point, it was on day 21, I think, where I decided I'm gonna push through this and just go to day 30. I no longer feel like doing 21 days. I'm just gonna see if we can go to 30 days, smoke as little as possible, go an entire month, see what happens. Day 22 was fine. Everything was normal. I started feeling better because it had been a little bit since I had smoked last. On day 23, I had the most vivid dreams I had had in like years. I can't remember the last time I had this vivid of a dream. I don't know why it happened after I smoked, 2 days after, but it did. And I had crazy dreams, and I woke up and I was I didn't know how to feel about it. I hadn't had the feeling of a dream in a very long time. I woke up and wrote down my dream because it was so crazy to me that I had dreamt. I hadn't dreamt in so long. Day 24, I had even more crazy vivid dreams, crazier than the night before, and I woke up with the most creative brain visions of all time. I woke up with all these ideas, and it just made me feel like smoking every once in a while was somehow helpful. Like, not trying to abuse it, but just using it as a tool. Like, I use it in a way to grow from it, to learn from it. And then once I've learned from that, I put it away, and then I continue on with my life. And maybe that somehow affected me having vivid dreams. Maybe it was just completely random scenario. Who knows? Skipping day 25 on to day 26. I had a big get together with my friends. It was a good, fun time. We all hung out all day and just had a good time. And it was around 1 a.m. that night. And, I had 2 pre-rolled blunts in the back of my closet that I had been saving for a while. And I just decided, this is what blows my mind. I don't know if I actually truly decided this, or if somehow my body actually convinced me to do it. That's the scary part. I don't know if I'm actually making the decision to do it, or if I'm somehow tricking myself into doing it and don't realize I'm doing it. I can't realize at this point if I'm doing it because I want to at random points, or if my body is literally tricking myself into doing it. And that's the scary part. Moving on to day 27, I still had 1 blunt left that I had pre-rolled a while before, and I was just saving for some time. I came to the conclusion that I just didn't want weed in my house anymore, my own weed. I didn't care if somebody else has it, but I just didn't want to have my own, for me to be weak one day and just to give in and want to go smoke that other one. So I decided I wanted to choose to smoke this day. And once again, I still don't know if I'm making this decision myself, or if that was my brain finding some way, or my body finding some way to trick my brain into giving in another day. I still don't know. I probably will never know until a year passes and I look back on this moment. But all I know is I just decided I wanted to get rid of it. So I actually went through and smoked an entire fat blunt, and I hadn't smoked like this in 27 days. So you can only imagine how it affected me. I just sat back and it was crazy, the feelings that I was feeling. It was a good feeling. I didn't feel bad for smoking anymore. I felt like I enjoyed it because, I wasn't trying to chase a high. I wasn't trying to get anywhere or anything like that. I just sat back and actually enjoyed it and had fun and had a good time. On the night of day 27, I went to bed at 6:30 p.m. and I crashed. I had plans, to go cook some food with my cousin, and I had plans to go play some Fortnite with some friends, and I literally crashed and had no energy to do anything because I hadn't smoked that in so long. And so I crashed, fell asleep, Woke up at 5:30, jumped straight out of bed. I was wide awake. I wasn't groggy because I had gotten so much sleep. And at this point, I have nothing left in my possession. I was just completely free of it. I got up, went straight to the gym, and I got my motivation again. It was there. I felt like I still had control over it. Nothing was controlling me. Once again, I had crazy dreams this night. Even though I smoked the night before, I still had crazy dreams, and it made me realize that just maybe, smoking less or throughout an entire period of a year or a month just makes your dreams come out more often. And if you're smoking all the time, your dreams just don't happen. But I had more crazy dreams, and each time they're even more crazy and more vivid. And I can't remember the last time I had vivid dreams like this. Like, the 3 sets of dreams I've had over the last week, I can't remember the last time I had dreams like this. Like, I literally can't think back to when I had dreams. I told myself that I wouldn't surround myself with it this day so I could make the decision or I wouldn't have to make the decision to say no, but I ended up just forcing myself to be around it so I could say no. And I was around it, I was directly next to it, and I didn't want it. I chose to say no, and I can't believe it, but for the first time in like 2 years, I realized I actually had control over it. Usually what would happen was I would go smoke over a weekend, and then Monday would come, and you have a long stressful day, and it'd just be like, I really need a blunt right now. So you would find some reason to tell yourself, hey, I need this blunt right now. Well, for the first time in a very long time, I chose to say no in my own power, and I just said no, and it was the greatest moment I've had in a very long time. It was the greatest progress I felt I've made in a very long time in my life. Day 29, got up at 5:30 a.m. again, went straight to the gym, felt great, had crazier vivid dreams, was surrounded by it again, still said no. I was directly next to it again, said no again. Like, it just felt good to say no. It felt good to have control over it. And that's when we move on to day 30, and we made it to day 30, only smoked 3 times, which is a crazy accomplishment, going from where I was, smoking however much I was smoking to, I now made it I made 30 days and only smoked 3 times. I'm proud of that, and I felt like I made the decision to smoke 2 out of those 3 times. So I feel like I had only smoked, out of my control 1 out of 30 days, and that's the greatest progress I felt I've made in so long. Even though I failed the challenge, technically the 21-day challenge or the 30-day challenge, I'm happy that I did it, and I'm happy that I failed. And on day 30, I had, even crazier, more vivid dreams than I've had. And each set of dreams just kept getting crazier and more vivid and more vivid. And each day that went on, my motivation got more and more real. And it's a great feeling. I'm here on day 30. It's January 30th today. I don't know when this video will be loaded, but I feel great. I haven't felt this good in 2 years. I haven't felt this good in a year, I guess. I don't know how long it's been, but I have not felt this good, this positive, this focused, this motivated. I now have a trainer. I now get up at 5:30 a.m. like 4 times a week and go to the gym. I feel I have motivation, and I'm making a YouTube video that I haven't made one in like a year and a half because I haven't had motivation to get up and do it. And it's just all these little tiny changes that I've made over time have just really come together. And I've always known that stopping smoking weed was one of the most important things I needed to do, and I feel like I've finally done it. And who knows where I'll go from here on out. Who knows how much I'll smoke. Who knows if I'll continue to smoke. All I know is I feel I finally have control over it, and it's a good feeling. And I just felt like sharing all of this with y'all because I feel like one day a few people could come across this who really need this, who really need to know what it's like to give it up, who really are trying to get there. They don't know if they're doing it right. They don't know if it's right to give it up. And I just want to give this data to people, and hopefully this can, spread and share, and it can help people. And that's all I really want to do. Anyways, that's the end of the video. Thank you everybody for listening. If you're still watching, I really appreciate you, tuning in, listening to the whole video. I'm very passionate about this. Like, I haven't had this much passion about anything in a very long time, and it just feels good to tackle something that I've been meaning to get done for a very long period. Make sure you subscribe to PewDiePie. Make sure you subscribe to me, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, share it with some friends, whatever. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see y'all next time.